Every year, the board conducts a comprehensive review of our men's and women's team. It is led by our football and technical lead on the board, Han Berger, alongside myself. For this particular review, I also solicited a lot of feedback from various different sources, from players, from football staff, from other key stakeholders, and from Ufuk himself. That was all completed over the past week. The recommendations from that were put forward to the board, and then the board debated it and made a decision on the best path forward. The review itself is very structured. It covers 4 key elements. The first is our results across all competitions. The second is the execution of our football philosophy, including our formations and tactics. The third is an assessment of our recruitment and youth development and the progression of that. And the fourth is our team management, culture and group dynamics in general. So all of these areas were comprehensively reviewed alongside keeping our overarching strategy and our club-centred football philosophy at the heart of any of the decision-making. It's really an easy decision to just deflect a disappointing season entirely onto the coach. But in a club-centred model, it's important to note that the coach is just one part of the overarching ecosystem and there's others jointly responsible for the performance. So it was really important for our board to do a top-to-bottom review. We absolutely acknowledge that learnings need to come out of the season and improvements need to be made, but we're equally making strong inroads in many key areas. So the decision was made to extend Ufuk for another season with the football club.
So why does the board feel that Ufuk is the right person to lead the men's team next season?
At a very high level, first and foremost, there was broad acknowledgement from the board that technically Ufuk is an excellent coach. We also feel we're making good progress across many areas, but what we are trying to implement is probably the most difficult strategy. We're trying to implement the best youth professional pathways in Australia. We're trying to play attacking, entertaining football, and alongside this, we want to win trophies. So we certainly haven't got this perfect, but at the same time, we don't feel we're miles away. In the last 2 seasons, we were essentially 1 game off a grand final and got knocked out in what many might say was controversial circumstances. This year, we reached a major Asian tournament semi-final. We were 1 game away from the final. There were some excellent displays versus regional heavyweights like Hiroshima and Jeonbuk. And in the end, we were then 1 point off the final series. So, we acknowledge that for Sydney FC, this isn't good enough. But when you couple this with the 2 highest sales the club's ever made in Jakey Gerwood-Reich and Hayden Matthews, this netted nearly $4 million for the club. And then when you consider the youth that we have coming through, we felt it really would be premature for us to throw the baby out with the bathwater here and totally start again. Our football DNA and our style is implemented right across our club and, from our coaches in our academies to our men's and our women's team. And in Ufi, we know we have a coach that plays an aggressive attacking style that is in line with Sydney FC's philosophy, and he equally has a strong focus on developing our youth players. So we feel that if we recruit well in the off-season, we implement the changes that have come out of our reviews, then, we're really confident in Ufuk and in his ability to bring silverware to our club.
Still, we can't ignore the disappointment of the semi-final defeat and the A-League finish. What learnings will be taken forward by the club?
Look, without going into all the details, holistically, we know and we acknowledge that we under-delivered with the squad that we had this year. And we missed an enormous opportunity, particularly with Asian Champions League football, to host a final at home in Sydney. So in conjunction with missing the finals for the men and the women, make no mistake, we are hurting as a football club and we know that our fans and our members are equally disappointed. So the learnings for us going forward span multiple areas. We need to look at our recruitment. We need to ensure that we have a better balance across our squad. We also need to assess our internal systems, ensure that the right support mechanisms are in place for the team, particularly with a lot of younger players. There's a lot of things that we will tweak moving forward to give us the best chance of success.
So what's the plan moving forward in terms of recruitment in the off-season for both the men's and the women's squads, and how will that work? Well, we obviously completed and expedited the men's review. The women's review holistically still needs to be done, but we are already underway with both squads. We have a number of proposed
targets to fill the gaps in our men's team. A lot of those conversations have already started. And equally with our women's team, we're very close on signing a couple of new contracts, and we will obviously share more details on this once we start to finalise the contracts and the squads. This will now be our core focus. So we need to ensure that we take the learnings from this year and we don't have another season like this season. It would also be remiss of me not to give a huge thank you to our members and fans for your passion, your energy, your noise in the stadiums this year. We are disappointed with the way the season finished, but our expectation is that we are back competing for trophies both in the men's and women's competitions next season, and we look forward to your continued support.